Yeah, I would like to give a small talk on a rare phenomenon called lipoprotein little a. What is lipoprotein little a? Lipoprotein little a is a group of lipid which is come out into limelight recently. Earlier, we were all banking on lipid profile like cholesterol, triglycerides, then LDL, HDL, VLDL. But few of us only knew that there is something called lipoprotein little a, which is as small as LDL, but is more dangerous than that. This is generally seen in more of dark skinned people, especially South Indians, and vegetarians who do not eat fish. And this lipoprotein is heritable. It doesn't depend on any diet restriction, it doesn't depend on any exercise program, it doesn't depend on any lifestyle change, but it is inherited. So, what exactly it is? It just looks like a small spherical ball, and particles are composed of proteins. They are called apolipoprotein A and B. Then it carries phospholipids, triglycerides, and cholesterol and transmit them from the liver and to outside. These lipoproteins little a are manufactured in the liver, but they form into a combination, a covalent linkage with apolipoprotein B on the surface of the liver, and they travel together and they penetrate the endothelial layer of the arterial or arterial wall, and lipoprotein little a adheres strongly to the wall compared to LDL. Therefore, they are little dangerous and risky. The reason, the exact mechanism by which lipoprotein little a produces atherosclerosis and how atherosclerosis is risky to the human being is lipoprotein little a carries oxidized phospholipids in its body, and they are responsible for pro-inflammatory activity. And this pro-inflammatory activity, what exactly it means? It attracts white blood cells, lymphocytes, onto the area where it gets stuck in the arterial wall, and there is inflammation there, and there is plaque formation. So this is the link between atherosclerosis and inflammation, and the possible mechanism by which an atheromatous plaque forms or a clot forms in the arterial wall. If it is a cardiovascular system, we all know that it produces heart attack, and if it is cerebrovascular system, we know that it produces a stroke. Now, this is called pro-inflammatory activity. And again, clinical data, why we are not aware? Not much work has been done. Though it has been identified in 1963, we do not know much about it. And most of the clinicians, including cardiologists, are not aware of it even now. So, next. Now, the next point I would like to say is Sjogren syndrome. We all know, and that too in the United States, Sjogren syndrome is as much as 4 million population has. And the Sjogren syndrome also is a chronic inflammatory disorder where the WBCs or lymphocytes attack the exocrine glands like salivary glands, lacrimal glands, and then vaginal glands, and even endothelial glands of the intestine. They produce something like a stomatitis, a blepharitis, then they also produce dryness of the eyes. They produce what is called dyspareunia. We all know what it is. Now, this is another hereditary autoimmune disorder, but the causative factor is viral or bacterial infection. What virus? Hepatitis C virus or Epstein-Barr virus is supposed to precipitate this infection, bring it to surface. And now, the diagnosis we all know, as I said just now, xerostomia, keratoconjunctivitis sicca, submandibular gland enlargement. What exactly it is? Preorbital glands get enlarged, periodic attacks of swelling, dryness of mouth, and a little down, hoarseness of voice, dysphagia, etc. And caries teeth is another characteristic feature of Sjogren's syndrome. This caries teeth, and there is a fungal infection because of prolonged dryness and lowered immunity status. Now, how do we diagnose the Sjogren's syndrome? We all diagnose Sjogren's syndrome by simple clinical history, but there are certain tests by which we can make out. The tests are immunological tests. You take an ANA profile, we find you have ANA, dsDNA, anti-SSA, anti-SSB. These are the very characteristic features. So you may have ANA positivity, you may have anti-SSA positivity, anti-SSB. So these two things, they produce Sjogren's syndrome. But again, not only the rheumatologist opinion, we also have ophthalmologist opinion here in Sjogren's syndrome, because the patient will be visiting for the dryness of eyes ophthalmologist. So they do something like a Rose Bengal test, which stains the dry conjunctiva and cornea, and will tell us the exact dryness, how much it is there in the eye. And also Schirmer's test is another test which is easily done. You keep a small filter paper below the lower eyelid and then see how much of wetness comes in a span of 5 to 10 minutes. So it will be very low, that means tear secretion is low. Now coming to they also visit a gynecologist for the dyspareunia. It is very simple. And rarely the Sjogren's syndrome can affect digestive tract. It can produce hepatitis, it can produce pancreatitis, and it can also produce joint pains, which is characteristic feature. Very mild arthralgia is seen in Sjogren's syndrome. Now what are the common complications of Sjogren's syndrome? The common complications, the maximum complication we see is 44 times the risk of having non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is very dangerous. And the pregnant women with Sjogren can have a child with neonatal lupus and also a complete heart block seen in the child. And third is, as I already told you, hepatitis, and because of dry mucous membrane they may have bronchitis or pneumonitis, and then dyspareunia and corneal ulceration because of keratoconjunctivitis sicca. Now, what is the main title is Sjogren's syndrome and hyperlipoproteinemia detrimental association. So when and why did I start checking for this lipoprotein A? In some of, I have luckily done specialty in 3 fields. One is cardiology and one is nephrology, long back when I was in the United States in Thomas Jefferson. And also I did in rheumatology recently 2002 to 2006. So having got experience nearly 30 years in the field of these 3 specialties, I was fortunate to bump into cases where there was an association of inflammatory arthritis with people who had high level of dyslipidemia, where you have the lipids very abnormal height. When I tried to control them with regular doses like statins, there was not much recovery, because the moment I stopped statins, the lipids were rising abnormally. Then I had a doubt and had discussions with some of my local physicians, cardiologists, and also one of the professors from California. He also talked with us. And then another doctor from Bristol, that is New Jersey, by name Dr. Adiraju. He is an interventional cardiologist. He had also given some limelight here. We then started checking for this rarer lipoprotein little a. Then, to my surprise, out of hundreds and cases of arthritis, I could pick up 120 cases of inflammatory arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, spondyloarthropathy, psoriatic arthritis, enteropathic arthritis, etc., and also scleroderma to some extent. I found that these people had dyslipidemia not getting controlled by statins. They also had dizziness. One of my patients was a lawyer and he developed dizziness in the court, which was not responding to statin therapy. Then I had a doubt on it, and then I did lipoprotein. It was abnormally raised. And to my surprise, when I used the drugs which I'm going to tell, he improved. And some people also had cardiac pain. Now, what are the effects of lipoprotein A? Lipoprotein A, to my surprise, and found in some of my cardiac patients, because I also do simultaneously cardiology, there was in this patient high lipoprotein A level associated with dyslipidemia, associated with the diabetes, and also with rheumatoid arthritis. When I tried to do angioplasty, CT angio, I discovered calcium artery scoring very high, maybe 680 scoring. And then I had a doubt. How this lady is surviving this much of calcium artery scoring? Then when I started treating her for the disorder, she improved. Like that, in another case where there was increased hypolipoprotein A, I also started giving treatment. She also improved. Now, I also found, in addition to the hyperlipoprotein little a, diabetes, hypothyroidism, and also cases other than rheumatoid, irritable bowel disorder, that is enteropathic arthritis, mixed connective tissue, MCTD we call it, scleroderma, psoriatic, etc. These are all rheumatological diseases. So all these people had what you call increased lipoprotein A. But to my surprise, I found not necessarily that lipoprotein little a, as described in our literature, usually comes to people above 40 where estrogen levels are less. Not necessarily. I have seen people who are around about 30 years, ladies, having hyperlipoproteinemia A with this what you call inflammatory arthritis and mixed connective tissue disorders. Now, treatment. When I verified these physicians, and they asked me to start patient on hydroxychloroquine and small dosage of deflazacort to control Sjogren's syndrome, because Sjogren's syndrome is notorious. If there are, it's a straightforward case of Sjogren's syndrome, the longevity is good. But if hyperlipoproteinemia is associated with it, there will be increased chances of having cardiac coronary artery calcification. Death could be quick. So we started using the drugs which I mentioned, like niacin. Niacin is nothing but vitamin B3. This niacin, if you verify in the literature, has a mechanism to bring down lipid profile in Sjogren's syndrome or in any inflammatory arthritis. And the commonest thing is it reduces the VLDL fraction so that LDL is less formed and there is no calcium formation. And the increased dyslipidemic and what you call thickness of the arteries, because of premature atherosclerosis, we get calcium, what you call deposition in the form calcium phosphate in the coronary arteries, and this calcium phosphate deposition can be dangerous to life, which will shorten the lifespan. Now, coming to the correction of other aspects of the inflammatory arthritis, like hypothyroidism is very common inflammatory arthritis, and associated diabetes and nephropathy, where always there is hyperlipoproteinemia condition. Now, according to Linus Pauling, there is a paper on that. He says 16 to 18 grams of vitamin C given along with other amino acids will definitely reduce the risk of lipoprotein little a by 30 to 40%. And again, I used this vitamin C to some extent, but I would like to tell you something very interesting. I have used first time bovine colostrum to these people because I found bovine colostrum is an extraordinary, simple, cheapest medication which will increase the immunity status. Sjogren's is an immunological disorder. So we can improve the immunity status, we can control the associated diabetes, we can control cerebral mentation, we can bring down the hyperglycemic situation to a better condition, and also arthralgia or arthritis can be brought down by the bovine colostrum. And again, I have used omega fatty acids, which was mentioned by the other senior orthopedic surgeon today morning. So omega fatty acids are extraordinary in bringing down the lipoprotein little a concentrations. They modulate the circulation to such an extent that the risk and the danger of death is reduced. In fact, I have cases where people who were advised urgent surgical procedure for coronary artery disease, they have deferred because of XYZ reasons. Some were not willing, some were having financial problems, some were scared of surgery, but they are still living over 3 to 4 years. It's because of omega fatty acids and colostrum and the associated treatment for Sjogren's in the form of hydroxychloroquine and deflazacort given to them. Their condition is better. They have improved. So what I can say is, don't stop the what should I say, investigations for coronary artery disease at lipid profile level itself. Go beyond it in conditions where you have recurrent dyslipidemia in spite of statin therapy, or strong family history of hypercholesteremia, or family history of dyslipidemia or diabetes or associated nephropathy, which is very common in diabetes. These patients, you just do a test for lipoprotein little a, and to our surprise we find most of them, at least 40 to 50% of them, will have increased lipoprotein little a, and then treat the lipoprotein little a whether LDL is raised or not. Not necessarily LDL should be always raised with lipoprotein little a, but LDL is separate, more dangerous than that is lipoprotein little a. You treat them with niacin and omega fatty acids, and to some extent bovine colostrum, which is available freely, cheapest. Other day somebody asked me to estimate the cost in the United States. It's hardly 1 month course is costing $6. Very cheap compared to the other biologicals we give. They are too expensive, $1,000 one injection. So if we can adopt to these simple measures, we can bring down the risk of mortality in the case of association of lipoprotein A with the Sjogren's syndrome. And again, I would like to say clearly that this association is not much reported in the medical literature. If you refer in the medical literature, 1992 to 2013, no one has done work in this area. I just don't know how I luckily bumped into this, and I must thank God that I was given an extraordinary chance to link these two things, and I could find 7 cases out of 13,000 cases of inflammatory arthritis and other rheumatological diseases. So I would still stick to this, and then in future also I will be publishing much work in this area. So now if you have any questions, sir, kindly go ahead.